We've been talking about this for a long time, everybody, the consumer, and how we were concerned that these high prices would eventually strain the consumer and we'd start to see some slowdown in spending. And we got that today. It is Tuesday, June 18th, and this is your regular segment of Markets with Megan. We had the retail sales report for May, and this was a soft report. Not only did all of the different levels that we look at retail sales come in a bit weaker than expected, but we also saw downward revisions to the prior month. So why does that matter? First of all, the last month was April's numbers. So that was the first read we got on retail sales for the second quarter. And these are the numbers. Remember, the consumer makes up the majority of GDP. So now we've got 2-week readings in a row for consumer spending for the second quarter. So this is going to weigh on the GDP estimates. But let's break down what we saw. So when you look at where there was some spending, the spending declines, furniture saw a pretty big drop, and that was probably attributed to some Memorial Day sales that were out. Building materials, gasoline stations, we know that gasoline prices have been weak in all of the reports. And then we did see a decline in when you look at restaurant spending. So these are some of the discretionary items that we look at. Now, what does this mean for second quarter GDP? The 3-month average annualized number now is about 1.9% for personal consumption. And I'm looking at that true core number where you strip out all the noisy items like food, energy, building materials. If you look back at the past few quarters from personal consumption, first quarter was about 2%, and then that was down from a high of about 3.8% in the first quarter of 2023. So the consumer is slowing. This is going to weigh on growth for the remainder of the year. The problems the consumer is having right now is that wages are okay, jobs are okay, but we're not keeping pace with the rise we're seeing in certain areas of inflation, like service inflation. So this is squeezing consumers. And then you combine that with very high credit card debt, and this is problematic for the consumers. Now, we think that the Fed isn't going to take too much into this one particular report because GDP estimates for second quarter are still trending in the positive, are still looking to be positive, but the Fed will be keeping an eye on this and the fact that the consumer is starting to show signs of strain. This kind of goes along with the report we got last week on the consumer confidence, where we saw that deteriorate quite a bit. That's all we have today. Tomorrow, the 19th, is a holiday, and it's a very light economic data calendar. So we'll be back on Thursday with some data on housing, and then we will also be back next week when the calendar picks up. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to podcast@verdence.com. Thank you.